Okay guys, here we go again. I hope you watched that last video and it made some sense to you. Again, I'm just focusing in on the mentality or the mindset of the people going into the tribulation, and they had to come from somewhere. Anyway, let me give you a quick my version of the events leading up to the Lord's return, and more or less of the Antichrist coming on the scene. I mentioned to you in that last video about the fig tree. Let me read it to you real quick. It says, "Now learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender and puts forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So you also, when you see all these things, know that it is near at the doors. Assuredly I say to you, this generation will by no means pass away till all these things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will by no means pass away." Again, you need to understand, often in Scripture, when they're talking about the fig tree, it's representing the nation of Israel. Okay, it's representing the nation of Israel. And we know as students of Scripture that Israel is the central character in the world now, but also in the tribulation, especially in the tribulation. Right now we're living in the time of the Gentiles. We're living in the church age. And just to give you my quick, I guess, synopsis of how this is all going to transpire, right now this is the church age, and the nation of Israel, the people of Israel, for the most part, they rejected Christ when he came the first time around. And then after the destruction of their temple, through the years, they got scattered all over the world. But there was a prophecy that God would bring them back to their land. Okay? And in 1948, Israel became a nation again. Okay, so they migrated back to their homeland. And I shared it in another video, but they became a nation again, a full-fledged nation. They got a mighty military for being a small country. The rest of the Arab nations around them, they're afraid of Israel, because Israel can do some serious damage on the military side. But anyway, and they're our greatest ally in the Middle East. But anyway, this fig tree parable that we just read, it represents the nation of Israel. So in 1948, when they became a nation, many Bible scholars believe that was referencing this time, when that was the fig tree beginning to blossom, Israel, because they're beginning to grow. So you understand that, right? Okay. So I think, this is my opinion again, the country is going to be in chaos. The country is going to be in some kind of chaos, whether our country or the world, actually, the world. And right now, the world is in chaos. They're having riots, protests all over the world behind this, behind what's going on in the United States. And right now, there's in the Middle East, it's a tense situation, because war could break out in any moment. And again, I mentioned China. They're chomping at the bit. They want to be number one. They want this nation to fall. And who's to say, what kind of shady things they did behind the scenes in order to get this country to where it's at, with this virus and whatnot. I mean, I'm not saying they did. I don't know. I'm just saying, okay? And not only that, but Russia is also waiting in the wings to pounce and take land. And, they're moving right now as well. So there's a lot of movement going on right now in these areas in the country, in the world. But anyway, I see it like this. Chaos is going to break out, and then there's going to be a one world leader that's going to come on the scene, one individual, and many believe he's going to come either out of the European nation or out of the Jewish nation. We don't know for sure. I think it's out of the European nation. Anyway, this individual is going to come on the scene in the midst of almost World War III. Okay, in the midst of great chaos. And I think, my opinion is that it's going to have to do with something with Israel, because Israel, think about it, Israel hasn't built a temple. They don't have a temple right now. They haven't had a temple since 70 AD. And then all this time has gone by and they still don't have a temple. So I believe that war is going to break out, or some kind of skirmish is going to break out over land so that Israel can build their temple. And then this Antichrist, this individual, people aren't going to know that he's Antichrist, but this individual is going to come on the scene, and he's either going to make a treaty with, when drama starts to begin in the Middle East, he's either going to make a treaty with Israel and with the Palestinians or some Arab countries there to allow Israel to build their temple, or war is going to break out because Israel just took their land back and built the temple anyway. And this individual that comes on the scene is either he's going to make a peace treaty with Israel and tell them, hey, you know what? Okay, go ahead and worship. You can have your temple, or you can build your temple, and no one's going to bother you. And he's going to make a treaty with Israel for 7 years. That's my take on it. And then we know that in the middle of the 7 years, the Antichrist is going to break that peace treaty. Okay, and that's what Revelation is all talking about. Everything that's going on in the first 3.5 years, and then the last 3.5 years. And I've been kind of alluding to it a little bit in the studies. But anyway, that's what I believe is going to take place. But then I started thinking, how are you going to explain away a massive rapture, a massive disappearance of millions of people all over the world? How would this individual, this Antichrist, because I believe we're going to be raptured right before the 7-year tribulation starts. So how would this individual calm the people down? Because I'm sure there'd be mass hysteria. Suddenly, family members are gone and friends are gone. And, just think about it for a moment. You think it's all just going to be peaceful? No, there's going to have to be something, or someone's going to, how are they going to calm them down? Okay? They got to be calm somehow, because there's going to be mass hysteria. Okay? So let me put a little twist on it, all right? If you like theories and stories, let me put a little twist on it. But I believe that we're getting closer, because right now in Israel, I just seen in the news the day before yesterday, they're talking about annexation, and that's getting more land back for Israel. And Trump is signing the papers and wanting to get that going. And you got to remember this. Trump is the one who gave Israel Jerusalem to be their capital again. It was Tel Aviv, and then he moved it, let them have Jerusalem as their capital. And nobody, the world didn't like that, but that was done. But now there's talk about annexation, Israel getting more land back, and the Arabs are saying that that could be like an act of war. Okay, but I'm gonna put a little twist on it, because I think I have maybe the answer to the mass hysteria that's going to be going on. But let me show you the clip first, and then man, what did I do with that? Let me show you, excuse me for that, I lost this. Let me show you that clip first, and then I'll give you my take on it, all right? Okay, give me a minute.
An American peace team is set to begin meetings with top Israeli officials about President Trump's Middle East peace plan, which includes plans for annexing Israeli-occupied West Bank settlements. Hamas says the effort would be considered a declaration of war. Trey Yanks is live in Jerusalem with the very latest. Trey.
Arthel, good afternoon. Israeli annexation of the West Bank could begin on July 1st. There is expected to be immense Palestinian pressure against the plan. Palestinian factions today in Gaza released a statement saying they are calling for a day of rage on Wednesday in response to the possible Israeli action. Past demonstrations along the Gaza border over the past few years have led to hundreds of Palestinian deaths and tens of thousands of injuries. Hamas, the group in control of Gaza, released statements over a video feed last week saying Israel would bitterly regret the decision to apply their laws over disputed territory. Hamas equated the move to a declaration of war. There were calls this month from Fatah, the Palestinian political party that does rule the West Bank, for peaceful resistance, though the region is bracing for the possibility of a new round of conflict erupting. On the Israeli side, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is hoping to push forward Israeli annexation with the support of the Trump administration. President Trump already moved the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem and recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. both moves that led Palestinians to describe President Trump's deal of the century peace plan as, quote, dead on arrival. Although talks have occurred between the Trump administration and Israeli officials over the past few weeks and are continuing this week in Jerusalem, there has been no significant progress made, and the clock is ticking towards what could be a violent eruption in the region. Just today, as we were conducting this reporting, Palestinian factions inside Gaza released new video of rockets they say they will launch at Israel if annexation occurs.
Okay, you see, when I seen that the other day, a couple days ago, man, that got me excited. So I started thinking, I go, wow, this is crazy, man. Everything that's going on right now, and then now this. And I don't know, man, it could be nothing, but, the Bible tells us we need to be looking up, and we need to be ready, and we need to be paying attention. That's all I'm trying to do. But just to kind of put a little twist, or maybe, make it a little, I don't know, I don't want to say funny, but I mean, it's going to sound crazy, but it's a possibility. So, I'm going to show you another video, and then I'll end it there, okay? So I just needed to comment on that, because now I'm going to show you what I think is a very possible, and it's kind of a weird coincidence, but I'll let you decide. So give me another second.
Well, this may be the strangest year in the lifetime of anyone still breathing, 2020, but it could get even stranger. It turns out that chaos here on Earth has not brought an end to unusual sights above us in the sky. Last week in California, an eyewitness observed about 100 small white orbs hovering above. Were they balloons, birds, something more? We don't know. We might know more if we had more information from the Pentagon. They've been studying UFOs carefully for more than a decade. But even now, they are keeping what they are finding to themselves and themselves only. There appears to be no systematic sharing of intelligence between the Pentagon and our intelligence agencies, and that's very odd. At least conceivably, UFOs may not be from space. No one at the Pentagon believes this. They think they are from space, but at least within the realm of possibility, they could be from China or another one of this country's enemies. So we should find out. This week, the Senate Intelligence Committee took a step toward fixing that. They voted to require the Defense Department to compile and release a detailed report explaining everything it knows about unexplained aerial phenomena. We hope that happens. We have no faith that it actually will, but we are rooting for it. And of course, if and when that report does come out, you will hear about it here first. For many years, you've heard people say, oh, it's just UFO craziness. That was our position too. But it's not all craziness. There are things we don't know, and we also know that our authorities enthusiastically lie to us. So it's worth pressing them, because it's not a small question.
Tonight's special. How much does the U.S. government actually know about UFO sightings? We may finally be able to find out. I'm not kidding. This week, the Senate Intelligence Committee voted to require the Pentagon to produce a UFO report as part of the latest defense authorization bill. Luis Elizondo is a former military intelligence official and currently works with the Stars Academy and the History Channel, and he joins us now. Luis, if the Senate gets what they want, what will they get?
Well, thanks, Brian, for having me. I think this is a historical moment in our country for many reasons. I think it's fair to say this is certainly a nonpartisan issue. You have, thanks to the courage of Senator Marco Rubio, but others before him, such as Harry Reid and Stevens and Inouye, I think if the Senate is successful in getting what they want, they are going to get actual hard data as to the capabilities of these incursions into our airspace and the airspace of where we have combat vehicles and controlled, if you will. Think of a combat theater where we have aircraft operating. Hopefully we can get a better understanding of what's going on here. These things seem to appear and operate without impunity, both here in the United States and overseas, where our brave men and women are in uniform. And hopefully we'll be able to finally piece together.
Luis, how do you know?
Well, because I was part of a program for about 10 years back in the Pentagon called ATIP. I ran that program with several colleagues of mine, and it was an interagency organization, very much like this task force that you are seeing right now that's being proposed in this bill.
What's the most intriguing thing that we'll get from it if the Senate Intelligence Committee gets what you know?
Well, I think you're going to get hopefully you're going to get an unclassified report, and for the first time, average Americans are going to get a chance to see the very same data that has been locked away in if you will, in classified briefings and whatnot, and hopefully see the light of day for once.
Now, I consider myself an average American. Can you tell me what it says since you were part of the unit?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not employed by the U.S. government anymore, and I am still bound by non-disclosure agreements, my NDAs. I still have a security clearance. So that's really a conversation that the U.S. government's going to have, the executive branch with the legislative branch, and then finally decide what they think is appropriate for the American people. What I can say is that data is very compelling. And when you look at these vehicles and what they're able to do, you very quickly realize that this is probably not something in our own inventory.
Luis Elizondo, thanks so much. Can't wait for it. We'll have you back.
Yes, sir.
At least I'll ask Tucker to have you back. Thank you.
Okay, you watch that? You're gonna say, yeah, right. That sounds crazy. Well, wait a minute, though. Wait a minute. The world right now, they've been talking about UFOs since I think it was 1947. I think it was in Roswell, New Mexico. I think it was Roswell, New Mexico, about aliens, right? And the government's been keeping it quiet, a lid on it since 1947. That's 70 years? We're 2020, do the math. 47, 50, 60, 70, 73 years. They haven't admitted to anything that's going on. It's a weather balloon or it's this. You've heard all the different theories and, all the things people are saying. Okay, is it a coincidence that all of a sudden here we are, that the government is willing, you've seen the pictures, okay? Because there's something to whatever it is we're seeing. I've always thought it's demonic activity. But is the devil that smart to say, hey, I need a plan to when the church vacates the earth, how am I going to calm the people down? Okay, you follow the logic? And, the devil is shrewd. He's smart. You can't think he's an idiot, man. He's a schemer. He's a conniver. He's a liar and a deceiver. Okay, so just think for a moment. Is it a coincidence that now in 2020, now the government is finally opening up and willing to release, hopefully we get everything that they know, release top secret documents, show us what the heck they've been seeing, because many pilots have said different things. If you follow the alien movement, the UFO movement, many even astronauts, man, have said they've seen some weird stuff. Okay, is it just a coincidence that now at this time, with all the chaos going on, is Satan smart enough to say in 1948, when Israel became a nation, he knew the fig tree was beginning to blossom, and somewhere down the road, it developed to where it's at today, and he needed some kind of plan. So 1947, it began UFO sightings. 1948, Israel becomes a nation. Okay, so now he's running all these 73 years or so, and now all of a sudden, it's a pretty weird coincidence. All of a sudden, the government's going to release so that we can know, and now everybody's interested. Main medias and whatever, and the the Pentagon and all that's involved now. I'm going to release stuff. I don't know. That's just me, man. I'm a little, what do you call it? I don't even know the word. Fanatical? No. It's just, hey, Jesus is coming back, man. It's almost like I'm trying to convince people. It sounds like a fairy tale. Say Santa Claus, right? We know it's a fairy tale. But then it's like I feel like I'm trying to convince you that Santa Claus is real. Nobody wants to believe it. And that's how I feel. When I preach, when I talk, it's like, yeah, estás loco. It's like I'm trying to convince people that believe in a fairy tale that it's not a fairy tale, it's real. Jesus is coming back, guys. So I'm going to leave it there for now. God bless you. Pray for me. But, I just figured I'd throw that at you. And you mull it over. Because to me, it's kind of weird. All right. So till next time, God bless you. Try to put a little levity in there so it's not so depressing with everything that's going on. There's a lot more junk going on, man. But anyway, watch the Fox News channel. I'm not promoting. I'm just saying, if you want to get educated, watch the news channel, the right one. Not the biased one that's keeping secrets. All right. Till next time. God bless.